Hey guys, how you doing? Okay, we're gonna be doing this thing. Okay, we're going over the line in the French. I'll just get to the point and I'll show you. When white plays a3 rather than either bishop e2 or e3 or bishop d3. This are sometimes, remember we talked about knight to a3 or knight e2 or d2 bd2. We're going to talk about how this kind of isn't the best move for white. Sorry, it's really good for black. It has a pretty good win to loss ratio, about like 60 to 65% win to loss ratio for black. So black wins 65% of the time usually. So e3, e4, d5, knight e, c, and of course c3, the advanced variation. And then, okay, remember we talked D, and then now we have the A3 line. There's many different lines, but this is the one we're looking at right now. I have two games that go to it, then we'll work on some puzzles. If you guys have any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer. Okay, the idea based on this, of course, is I know what you guys are seeing. White wants to play B4, and then he wants to free up. He wants to relieve the weakness on b2 to either play bishop to b2 or bishop to e3. Either one of those ideas. He doesn't want to be left with this weakness here. There's many different lines. There's the closed French, which would be c4. If you wanted to play c4, that goes into the closed French. And the whole idea about that is you're wanting to control after you play c4, you're wanting to control b3 and somehow get a knight in to here and then occupy that square. It's kind of do stick white with the weakness on b2. That's the whole idea of c4, but it's very, very, very positional. So you have to be okay with in a closed position. The proper move to actually counteract that move sequence is, of course, if they start attacking on the wings, what do you do if it's your turn? Attack in the center. So f6 makes perfect sense, because what are you doing? You're attacking a center pawn, e5, and your side pawn, c5, e6, sorry, e6 is attacking e5. The c5 pawn is attacking d4. So we're keeping in principle with, if he wants to go for an attack on b4, more the merrier, go for it, my friend. But we're going to stay attacking in the center. We're going to stay in the center and we're challenging the center. We're not just going to let him push us, let our opponent push us around. So we have to remember that. So white plays, because b4, d3, or I'm sorry, b4 would be kind of overextending at this point. He plays bishop to d3. The idea, of course, he wants to dominate the b1 to h7 diagonal. Also, it allows for castling, and potentially what could happen is, if black does castle, you can bring a queen in here, and then if he ever tries to play there, you can take with the bishop and do an exchange and win the rook. There's a lot of ideas with that. So queen c7. This prepares with b4. With b4 happens, we're going to take on d4, and then when he plays, c takes d4, we're going to play f takes, d5 or e5, and then if the d pawn takes back, then we'll take back with our knight, and we'll have won a pawn. So this prepares 5 moves down the road to win a pawn if white doesn't counteract it. So of course white sees that whole line and says, you know what, out of that whole line, now when you when b4 is played, c takes d4, c takes d4, and f takes d4, and d takes e4, e5, sorry. This bishop and knight will be guarding this square, so it'll be 2 garters versus 2. Oops, sorry. Yeah. Oh, that's not good. So let's do that again. Here. Okay. Here. 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 And now what we're gonna do is there'll be 2 attackers and then 2 defenders. So our idea at this moment doesn't work. But black's like, I'm going to castle queenside, and he's going to go for a pretty good attack. This is Vasilin Topalov versus, I forgot to tell you, Van Weasel Loco. Okay, let me get a drink of my tea. Hold on, I gotta just shake it up just a little bit to get it mixed. Hold on. There we go. Castles, of course, does 1 or 2 things. It safeties the king. It brings a rook on the open file with the queen, so that when this happens, and of course this, sorry, either way around. When this happens, let's say this happens and this happens. When this bishop moves, we'll have an attack right on this queen with this pawn, so white has to be very cautious. But that's like 5 or 6 moves down the road. My teacher told me that sometimes, if let's say you have a bishop here, and yes, there may be, we'll say there's a queen here, there may be there's a bishop here, sorry, bishop comes here, there's a queen here. He says, yes, there's 2 pawns at this moment, that are 3 pawns at this moment that are guarding the queen from being attacked, but he says, remember, those pawns can easily be taken, and then what's left? Your bishops against the queen. So he says, be careful when you have pieces that are eyeballing, even if you're 3 pawns to the good like that, protecting it. Just be very careful that you don't put your pieces on squares that maybe 10 to 15 moves down the road you may lose your queen, or she may have to give up a very vital protective square. So white castles doesn't see any threat with that. Now it's it's all out war. It's the blitzkrieg kind of setup, when you have your air and then your ground units, and one destroys over here. This one comes in, destroys the foot. This destroys the majority of like the artillery that would be attacking your tanks, and this destroys the majority of the foot units. So that's kind of what this idea is. And so rather than what we're wanting to do here, you don't want to open this up, of course. It'd be not a very good idea, because white would be more than happy if this was to happen. White would be satisfied like there's no end, because now he's got an open file on your queen. No. His attack's going to be on the queen side. So what we're going to want to do is shut the queen side down and then start our plan of an attack. So bishop C, he's trying to potentially basically bust or break or annihilate these pawns so that he can get 2 rooks and have the rooks eyeballing the king like that. So the bishop's more likely going to try to prepare C B3, and pawn takes and then R here, and then if we take, he'll take with the bishop, of course, and then he'll try to play c4 and pry open. Hey, how you doing, Gaming 23? So c4 or b3, so that if we take there on b3, he, after bishop takes, of course, would try to go c4, and then he's going to try to get us to continue to take and slowly open up the position for an attack. Hey, good. How you doing? And so what the queen move does is it shuts all that down. Basically, what he's saying is, I'll be more than happy if you want to play b3, which, of course, see, we know what his ideas are. Well, I'm doing good, thank you. C takes d, takes, and then g5. Now, this pawn push is a long way off, and no longer do we have to worry about this pin. So it would be a knight rook to pin the knight, not the queen, or any threat like that. So now we're countering our idea with a potential g4, f5, and then h5, and we're going to try to pawn storm like this is, if you want to think about football, this is the QB. We're going to try to blitz the line with our line and break it down and sack the QB. That's kind of sometimes how I think of chess, is that this is the QB, and sometimes, if you guys like the game Stratego, there's always the general, and this is your main general, and he's always the one that's trying to get taken out by a more powerful piece. But you have to always be careful of mines, because there's mines that you can set up around your king and stuff. So, and I always think of sometimes the pawns as, and then there's guys that in Stratego that can deactivate the mines, and so you have to think of your pawns as the ability of setting up spots that could be easily mined. If a piece comes in there, you get it. You also could think of them as mine removers, that they will sometimes give up their life so that a mine will be taken away so that you can move your forces in. Like Harry's always, he's always the hero. I don't know why. It's either Alfred I'm not sure. Should we call him? I call him Alakai. I try to think of chess names for my pawns, but I can't, because Simon Williams got me thinking so much on the H pawn as being Harry. I have to call it Harry. It's like Harry's our hero. He's the guy. He's the pawn that doesn't care. He's willing to go the distance. He's the one that runs and keeps running and running, no matter if people say you're not going to make it. Harry always says, "I'm going to do my best and I'm going to keep pushing forward." You got to admire Harry the H pawn. So it's funny. It's like we should all be like Harry, right? There's G4, and of course the idea is to later on play F5 and H5, and just get these pawns rolling up the board. The closer we get, the more territory we grab. So knight to E1, knight to A5 has an idea based on trying to win this bishop and potentially outposting the knight on c4, but that's c4, but that's kind of, in my opinion, a little too over positive. I don't know. What Black's trying to have is for the bishop to go to A2, and maybe we can bring the queen into B2, something like that, and then start a counterattack on the queen side. white to hold. So bishop, rather than having that happen, goes to F or C2. And so what we do is we just go F5 and just shut down the whole line. We're like, and if you want to sacrifice your bishop for Fabi, I call the F pawn Fabi, fabulous Fabi. I'll be more than happy, and Alekhine or Emanuel Lasker will more than happily pass the baton to Fabi and allow Fabi to take Emanuel Lasker's baton in a racing event for runner sprinting. So knight to D3. Every move, remember, has a weakness. Of course, what does this move do? There's a weakness here and a weakness there. So white's going to either try to somehow occupy that, or potentially, if he could, if this pawn was there, he would try to occupy G5. Either F4 or G5 is white's idea for his knight. King to B8. That's actually a good prophylactic move. It allows the king to get some shelter. See his men, like Banco is saying to the king, "Come on over here, I'll protect you." You know, it's like a VIP has a bodyguard. The bodyguard Banco is saying, "Come on over here, I got your back. Don't worry, nothing's gonna happen." And so the king's like, "Okay, I know you're a good, you're reliable, so I'm gonna hide right behind you." And that's kind of what this reminds me of. And A4, it's like Alekhine for white is a little bit too over zealot again, too happy. I don't, A4 is just not the best, because what that does is A4, the bishop wants to get in to the king, queenside, right? Why stick a pawn where you want to have your pieces flowing in? This is a beautiful spot for a potential, if the knight could get here, if the knight could ever get here, this would be a wonderful spot to have, because then you can jump your knight right into C5, and then even at worst, bishop knight to B3, and you have a really well placed army. But if you jam it's like having a traffic jam in like LA and our rush hour, and it's like you can't get anything moving. It's like, and then everybody's honking at each other, and it's like honk honk, and that doesn't help. So the pieces may be saying to the A pawn, get moving, but the A pawn's like, I can't. There's a car in front of me. I can't get moving. I'm doing the best I can. I want to get moving as much as you do. I want to attack the king as much as you do. So, but he goes, but if there's a wreck on the highway, boy, is that a problem. It slows down highway traffic to a snail speed. I had to do that one time when I was in a getting ready for an over-the-board tournament. They had a wreck on the highway. It was like, oh, I was so blessed we made it. I only was late by like 4 or 5 minutes, and so it takes like about, I believe, like it was a classical game, so it was like a hour and 30-minute game. It's like an hour. If you're late an hour, then you forfeit. So I still was able to win that game. So that was really nice. Came down to a really nice end game. I'll have to maybe bring that game up for you guys, and we'll go over that game. My opponent tried to stalemate me in the end game. I was up a whole bishop for a pawn, and I had a bishop in like 4 pawns. And he had a rook and 5 pawns, and the king was on the side of the board. And so what he tried to do is the pawns, like cramping the king with my pawn maneuvers. And if I would have taken, my bishop would have taken away a square, my pawns would have taken away a square, and his king wouldn't have had anywhere to go. It was a locked position. And of course I saw that, so I moved. I didn't fall for giving up a piece. So remember that if your opponent offers you a piece, double check, triple check if you have time, and make sure that it doesn't end up stalemate. That would have been a sad. I'd worked so hard, like an hour or so, just to, or more, to get to this position, and then I get greedy for material. Great, I have a bishop and a rook, and he has a pawn, but his king can't move. Stalemate, draw. That would not be very happy. And I know that my opponent was hoping and praying that I would take that rook, and it would be a stalemate. And I was like, it's a good thing I checked. I double checked. I'm like, why is my opponent giving me a rook? That's the first thing that went through my mind. I remember there's a phrase that there's nothing free, so, no free lunch, as they would say. I forgot which person said that, but and if you guys know the name, put it in there, and I'll say it. But I'll say the person who said that. And so I thought to myself, first of all, what went through my mind, is it a blunder? And then I looked to see if it was a blunder, and I was like, what's the threat? At first of all, I said, what's his idea? What's my opponent's idea? And I was like, okay, if I take it, what do I give up? Because the Aikido principle, like what Maurice Ashley learned, and it actually teleported, it helped him get to be a grandmaster. He learned the Aikido principle of drawback chess. What's the drawback to me taking the rook with my bishop? Stalemate. I don't want stalemate, so it's better to just move my bishop, and I'm still a minor piece up for his pawn. So I'm still winning, and he has weak pawns, backward pawns, and just pawns that have been pushed. So it may take me 20 plus moves to get going, or to win the game, but I would not like to lose or draw the game in just one move because I wasn't patient. Okay, back to the game. Enough with that story of my over the board experience. So rook to c8 is an interesting setup move. What you're trying to do is, white wants to, of course, annihilate the center and open up the king to an attack. There is a open file, yes, but this knight here guards the the B7 square. Good. And so, yep. This okay, and this knight guards the B7 square, and the bishop, of course, guards where the rook would want to be on B5. And that's really that's kind of the idea. So if the rook ever got there, the queen could always either play down to C7, A6, or maybe D8, and then reroute over. And also the bishop wants to do, I call it the zigzag, bishop to E8 to H5. If there was a knight here, that's sometimes in the French what they want to do. You either want to trade it off or zigzag it into H5 and outside the pawn chain. If you could do that, you have a really good middle game for the French. So queen to e2. Well, he's trying, of course, our opponent's trying to get his pieces developed, even though there's a weakness, even though he's cramped. That's his idea again, is to get c4 in, of course. c4, c4. This is a rhyme. Wouldn't he love that and adore that idea? c4, c4. So more likely he wants to try somehow to get a knight either to b2 and then c4, or maybe just retreat the knight to either f1 or d1 and try to push c4 on through as well. But it's pretty well defended. Okay, so queen a6 and queen to e2. And the idea is, of course, he's gonna say to black, if you ever move your queen, I can now get the c4 move in with a tempo on your knight. And black believed the threat. There's no reason to have done that. Just say to, just jump in there. You know, go, you know what? I welcome you in. I'm more than happy for you to exchange. This allows me to take your bishop and then weaken your potential. You really wouldn't want to take the bishop, of course, but there's always that potential of knight takes e3 and then pawn takes e3 with h3 or h5 and then h4. That's an idea set up as well. But he played b6 because in Topolov's mind he wants to free his queen up for an attack. But every pawn move in front of your king is weak. So if we want to look at king weaknesses, black has more king weaknesses than white. White's pawn structure is solid like a rock, like the actor The Rock. It's, if you could think of that, it's like that he's guarding the king, like, you know, I'm here to protect you, nothing's getting through, you know. And it would scare me if I was trying to do that and there was a big muscly guy there saying don't try it. And this is kind of what that reminds me of, this pawn chain or pawn setup. Better is, of course, we see h5. Then he brings his knight in, rook up, of course. And the knight would not want to trade off. If it did, it would actually help black. So we don't want that. So b6, knight to a3, bishop takes the knight because we cannot allow the knight to jump into b5. It'd be a bone in the throat. Rook takes, and then knight to e7. Of course, you guys see the idea. Knight g6, and then potentially maybe later on we can get f4 in, f5. Ah. Sweet. Good job, Fox. Let's take a look at that game. So let me see who won, and that's usually okay. So you're white. So it's on move 32. I'll have to remember that. Bishop b6. This in blitz games, sometimes players will actually play in this type of line. If you hadn't played bishop, some players would actually, let's just say you played, we'll say e4. Some players would I call it the Nakamura move, because fianchetto's both. And so let's say here, oops, don't do it. And now you get the doubled fianchetto. And that's kind of what he's known for, the double fianchetto idea in blitz. You can whip those moves out like snap, snap, snap. b3. Okay, so now they have fianchettoed on this. It's very similar, except from one thing. Then black doesn't have a knight on f6. So e3. Not e3. Sorry, e6. I'm looking. Excuse me. I'm looking at it from white side. Sometimes I say that. So d4. It's like, I like that move. You're getting close to almost transposing it into a, I don't know if it's a Grunfeld. It kind of reminds me of a kind of Grunfeld setup. Knight f6, and then e3. Interesting. So you're trying to set up almost a French for white. So d5. Wow, you guys have similar pawn structures, exactly the same. Oh, that would have been funny if he played here. You guys would be copycatting each other. There's actually a move order that players do that are newer. They'll copycat their opponents, and they'll just play. But eventually what happens is, because white has the tempo or the move, white ends up usually getting a better position in that line. And they usually have to stray, and so black just decides to stray from that line, the copycat, and just get ready to castle. Knight bd2. This is kind of, I don't like black's position. I do not prefer black's position here. I think the position is too he's too cramped. I think he should have done something like maybe c5, something like that. And then if takes, and if he tries knight bd2, you have knight to c6, and now you kind of have relieved a little bit of the tension, and you have space. I think black played a little too passive with knight bd7. That's just my opinion. I think it's way too passive. c4. Excellent move. I gotta say, great move, Fox. You took advantage of his weakness of his setup, and you're gonna just explode the center open with an attack. You're sending the big boys in. You're gonna send in the artillery and take out the fortifications so that the boys can start, so that the troops can start flowing in. I'm loving it. He's got it. He doesn't have to take, but if he doesn't take, you're gonna just take and disintegrate his center. Your position is incredibly good. I'd probably give it a 0.6, 0.7 for white here, and say that white has a superior central position, and later on you're going to be pushing like e4, and then you're going to try to overwhelm and cramp the position. c5. That's a forced move by black. He has to get some space. Knight e5. I'm not sure. Let me see. takes e5, pawn takes e5. Okay, knight bd2, queen g. Interesting. That is for sure is an interesting setup, yeah. I'm just kind of wondering why you didn't just go f4, and if he castles, oops, potentially you have queen h5, and I'm liking the lockdown. He's gonna have to play g6. And potentially maybe h6. That might be getting your queen a little too tight into the position, because more likely he'd play rook and then try to get a bishop there. I've actually seen this type of setup, rook e8 and then bishop f8. Yeah, it's kind of, you got to be very just cautious when you push pawns, but I'm just trying to figure out if is there any way we can flow our kind of knight over. I'd love to get somehow maybe a Greek gift set up, but we have a bishop, yeah. No, g4 is, I don't see anything wrong with queen g4. I was just trying to kind of get some more reinforcements flowing in, so that your bishop isn't stuck guarding this pawn, and then you don't really have to worry about there. Well, I guess if he did play that, he could play here. Takes, bishop takes, bishop takes, queen takes, and then knight. I'm not sure. I guess it would be kind of a little risky doing that. Nice work on f4. I'm glad you played f4. That is a great move. I really I think that's good. I hope you're thinking of playing knight to okay, he plays here. I'm hoping you're thinking knight to c3. And then potentially he has knight there. I kind of see a little bit of the problem. I'd play here and then try my hardest to get my rooks to the open file and see if we can't, yeah. Ooh, nice. I actually do like that, yeah. This does make, yeah, rook 2. Oh, you don't have to do rook fd1 because your rooks are not connected because of the knight. So I believe you're right. This does have a bigger threat potential. So he's going to probably have to play queen something like queen like that. And then at this point, I'd play bishop e4. I know this is weird looking because he potentially could drop that in, but you can also get rid of this long, powerful diagonal bishop. So when the queen takes, then you can bring your knight up and in and no problems anymore. But the queen might try to come in. I've seen this type of setup here. Oh, my bad. Can't do that. The knight would take it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I agree with you. Now, that's for sure an interesting idea. A3. You're fulfilling what Jeremy Silman says, restrain the knights and then attack them. I love that idea. I don't think so. I think you'd still be fine. Because you have one thing that your opponent doesn't have, space. Excuse me. You have one thing that your opponent doesn't have, which is space. So knight to a5. Space is a Space is a huge advantage that if you can get a hold of, you can. Madness is known for doing that. So is Fabi, and what they'll do is they'll just slowly squeeze your, and also Karpov was known for, he loved these type of cramped positions because he would slowly break you under pressure. If you tighten something enough, it'll actually break. So that's kind of what happened. F5, interesting. I like that move. I really do. Really do. Because if he gets greedy and takes here, you have F6, and that's just destructive. You're winning a piece. He's going to lose a piece here. Because this pawn's pinned. If he tries that, you can, if you want to, try to actually go for a mate. There's a way to checkmate your opponent. Or you could win a piece. It all depends. I might try to go for a mate, and if he grabs here, then there is no way to stop mate. So he probably might play rook there, and at this point you would kind of have to take, and then rook takes. At this point you just move your bishop. You're up a whole piece for a pawn. I like this position for black. Totally winning. So he takes. Nice work. That's pretty devastating. Gotta love that. I'm thinking, oh yeah, that guards this pawn. Well, yeah, that guards that pawn, doesn't it? Yeah, you don't want to give up that pawn. I missed that. I was hoping somehow to get a queen in here, but I forgot that the knight is a pain in the drain right there on c4. So rook c8, queen e2. Nice work. You see a weakness and you attack it. Good spot there, Fox. Uh-oh, it is starting to gobble up pawns. Not fun. I'm really surprised he didn't play. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it was a little over attacking, but I'm just saying, I'm surprised he didn't play that move. And kind of try to slowly, he can't play there yet. Well, I guess he could play there, because the knight's protecting it. And then try to get his 3 pawns rolling down the board. I believe that move was actually a blunder. That's just my opinion. Rook A to D8 was a blunder in my opinion. What do you think about it? I think this move was a question mark, a double question. I think he surrendered a huge amount of his advantage by doing that. I'm hoping. Did you play Queen to A? Queen A. 4. Did you play Queen A4? Did you look at Queen A4? I know it's kind of. I know I was looking at that. Okay. Let's say here. Okay, Queen there. That's still protected by the knight. I understand that's protected by the bishop. So now you can play bishop up. If he takes, the knight's still trapped. So I guess it would potentially be an interesting move setup. Nice work there. That's actually a pretty nice move. I like that. Kaboom. Did you think about playing e6? And I know this sounds, I know what you're thinking. What if he plays that, right? Hello, we got him. And then if he takes here, we could actually, I guess, move our queen, then we can grab that. I still like this move, though. I don't know. Potentially it's a draw. It's kind of a very, you have to, like, I'm going over the master method with Grandmaster Simon Williams. This is kind of a pretty interesting setup for sure. I'm actually liking, I know this sounds weird, I'm liking this move here. that's pretty odd, I understand. But I like that because now I guess we have to calculate if take's there, right? He'll push the pawn. And do we have anything? I don't think so. So we just lost a piece for nothing. Yeah, so you have to always take in consideration those moves. Nice move, nice fork. I'm pretty shocked that he didn't play that move. I guess he'd be in trouble, so maybe a queen back there would be best. Then knight takes, bishop takes. I don't know. Pretty interesting. So, yeah, this was the tactic you were talking about, Richie. Nice work. I was thinking C2. What do you think? And then now you can bring the king up, and if he tries that, you can just push. And if he tries coming here, I should just push. Yeah, there's no way to stop that. So more than likely you're going to want to plant your bishop there to stop this. He's going to have to move. Bishop of the wrong color. Draw. Snap. That would have been a draw. You got to be very careful not to walk into a draw. Thinking that might have been winning. Kaboom! There's your mate. That's the only problem with 5-minute games, guys, is that our 3-minute games is you go more on instinct and you kind of miss tactical stuff. You have to be very on task or on the board. Yeah. That was a mistake on his part. But I don't think he really has any choice. I believe this would be a better move here. Remember your end game. True. Just make, but remember, end game. You want to restrain and restrict. True. A little bit's good, but not too much, because then you lose how important strategic planning is. This right here, end game, is winning. Because if he goes there, you just grab that. You can't come here, can't come there. He only has this, this, and this. So if he comes back there, we just move in. And we move in. We take. And now you're winning. Just keep that in mind with your end games. You have to be, if you're wanting to do instinct, learn some end games and try to instantly focus on end games. I still think this right here, this is the best move. Right here. This is winning. Just remember, restrain and attack. There we go. You found it. Good. There we go. Great work. There we go. Now you're totally winning. You can get that flowing. Oh, you gotta be careful. There's no mate. That's right. Sometimes you can just sacrifice a pawn to do a breakthrough. You're gonna win anyways. So sometimes the best thing to do is just do that. You can actually have played this. There's National Master Elliot Neef said that you always sometimes in these type of situations it looks stalemate, but you gave him a pawn, so he has to push the pawn. And so there is mate. That's mate. You gotta love that. You gotta love that situation. That's so sweet. And if he plays here, of course, that loses for him too. It's like, really? Because he's got to move and then hello, check, check, and then this one's gonna a queen. So this key, that would have been a sweet combo. Sweet, sweet, sweet. King H. And then if you would have played King, oops, what am I doing? King F. And then because he has to move, kaboom! Kabang, kaboom, and hoorah, all in one move. You never want to get checkmated by a pawn like that. Ouch. That's pain and more pain, baby. That was sweet checkmate. Gotta love that tactic. We'll have to somehow get that. That's a sweet tactic. You'll have to save this game and get to that point. Yeah, I'm just like, I know I said that a couple times, but that's just so beautiful. Just so beautiful. There's no way to stop mate. He would love to have. He'd think to himself, yes, I acquire his stalemate. Then he realizes, rats. I have a pawn. move it. Mate. And then it'll be like, no. There you go. Same idea. But wouldn't you have loved to have that mate though? That's good job on the game though, but that would be so sweet. Oh, that would be sweet. Yeah, you could if you when you have friends over or something to your house or something, you could take them to that point in the game, and then you could say, "Hey, do you guys think it's stalemate?" And then they'll be like, "Huh? Let me look at the board. Let me look at the board. I think it is. Nope, nope. Remember, he's got this move here. Then we checkmate him. You know." Excuse me. Nice game though. Oh, not this again. I'll put it on puzzles while the 1 second. While the internet and the LHS is starting to get configured again. I'll be right back. I'll let you guys look at this. 1 second. I gotta get a drink of tea. I'll be right back. Good peach tea. Okay, I'll be right back. Let's see. That was a really good game, Fox. Excellent work. Excellent work. Let's see if there we go. what we'll do is we'll, oops, yeah, there we go. We'll try one 15-minute casual. See how we do. There we go. Let me make sure it's streaming. Hold on. One second, guys. Gotta check something out. I'll be right back. So keep an eye on these puzzle right here. So I'll be right back, guys. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Let's see here. Gotta go AFK just for a sec. Okay, let's do it. Hello? Okay, perfect. We're back on. Okay, that was interesting. We'll do a 15-minute and then we'll get back into it. That was kind of odd. Heh, internet's gonna be internet. Let's see. Let's give them the French, guys. Come on. Let's stay focused. Okay. I want to see if I can't play c4 here. Or c5, sorry. And then now let's start our attack, guys. Uh-oh. That was a blunder on my part. Drat. I was going to try to come around here. I should have just played there. I gotta think before I move sometimes. Wow. That was a blessing. Just gonna try to play there, and then what we'll do is we'll play here. You have to constantly plan this out when you're going to an endgame. Oh, shoot. I was gonna check there. Mouse slip. Ah, drat. I was gonna check here. Oh, snap. That was my fault, mouse slip. It was a mouse slip, I gotta tell you, it was a... Let's see here. Was it fun? Yeah. Yeah. Let's see, where did I... So this move is a 0.5. Let's see, move 49. Let's see. Yep. We'll try one more. Do one more. At least we learned some. Exactly. Well, let's see. What's the trick? Let's see. That's an interesting one. Let's see. What's the trick? Okay, after I took her phone. Let's see. What move was that on? That was, oh, it's king. Okay. That's okay. You know what? You have to learn from it. I was gonna do a check, but you know what? We learned something from that. And it wasn't fun, but we'll come back and get it. One more, and then we'll get back onto a game that that I wanted to show you guys. Let's try this. We'll try a 10-minute one. Okay. Create the pyramid like what Simon Williams says. Bring the knight in. Queen comes up. I think we did the right move on that castle, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember our move sequences. He has a little trick with his bishop idea and this knight. I wasn't going to fall for that. Okay, so he's locking down the position. Interesting. Okay, we're still good, still good. All's good. Now I have this pass pawn. See if I can't get a trying to see if I can't get a takes there. Gotta get Harry going up the board. I should pick up a piece here and be winning. See if I play pawn takes bishop. I takes check. Let's take there. It should be, yeah. It's a pretty tough endgame. I want to go over that. was a... I think his best opportunity is actually to play there, but I think he loses a... I'd play here, and then he'd play bishop takes. And probably then you can actually attack the pinned piece there, and you'd win a rook. I'm thinking that if he plays here, I take here, I turn off the engine. Come on. If he takes here, I'll play bishop to d6, and then he loses. He might try that. I take there. And then now I'm 2 pieces up. I want to see what the computer says at this point. Wow, pretty impressive. Oops, ouch. Okay. We'll take a look at this again, where I pulled up another game with Vasilin Topalov. We talked about that it gets to this point here where a3 is, and of course when you attack in the side, you always attack in the center, so f6, bishop d3, and knight c. Kind of like this is a standard pattern. Hold on, let me see. After bishop d6, was it knight takes what? Where's the... oh, here? The knight guards the bishop. And the king would take, then we take back, the knight takes. Oops. Well, we better do one puzzle before we log. We'll get back to that one game next time with Vaseline versus that gentleman. Well, I'll remember it because it's the game. It's okay. Hey, you know what? I'm glad you try out ideas. That's how you improve. Only way to improve is to try out other ideas and then put yourself in a situation that if I did this, this would happen. I'm thinking knight h5. And if he plays knight h5, and if he plays rook takes f7 check, then king to g8, and you're winning. Well, I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess you're right. That does prevent that, doesn't it? But he can actually just retreat his queen. At that point, he can retreat his queen back. So I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Hold on. Forget the g3. Forget g3. Forget g3. That there's a better move. Just hold on. There's a better move. Queen to d1. Queen d1 actually saves the position and the fork. Yeah, that's the idea. Queen d1. Sometimes it really is a pain in the drain, but sometimes you have to walk into an attack to get a piece. So maybe at this moment right away, because that's a fork, and I know that potentially the check would happen here, or I have to do. Come on, right there. I know the check would happen here, and we just walk over to the side. I'll be right back. Take a look at this, and I'll be right back. See, there's this line here. If knight h4, there's rook takes f7, check, king, g8, and I'm looking at c takes d5, and knight takes f3, check, and I think that's wins. We take on f5. If he goes to f5, he's forced at this point. Here. I should continue the line out. He's forced to play g3. Queen takes f. Queen takes f7, and then queen takes h4. I believe that's how it would go, and we'd be up an exchange. How we doing? Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll probably end on this one. We'll go over this line that we talked about. If takes here, over. If here, queen there. G. Oh, mate in one. Sorry, can't do G. My bad. It's actually, we'll just say he moves his king. You can pick that up. Or, better, if he moves the king. That's right. Bam, we pick up rook. And then the queen comes up, and what's he got? Do you have any questions? You guys have any questions about any move sequences? before I log off. But good job on, calculating that line out. Don't ever think that even if the line didn't work, it's great that you're calculating out. Okay, go for it. Put in the line and we'll go over it. But it's good that you're calculating out that. Okay, Queen E8. Okay. Queen D there. Queen E4. Rook F3. Rook A8. I think it'd be a draw at this point because it's equal material, and I really don't see any advantage. So it was a draw. Not a bad move. So it's not a bad move. Yeah. So it works. You know what? Great job on finding that out. I appreciate the offer, but I don't play those kind of alternate ones. I'm not sure. Trust me, I'm not sure how to play them, and you gotta keep your strategic idea going too. Okay, do you guys have any other questions that you guys would like to ask on chess, of course, on this puzzle? Nothing else but this puzzle. Okay. Do you have anything on this puzzle? Any more lines you guys want? Do you guys have any other lines? I'll give you guys another minute to take a look, because there might be a slight lag in you are bad, but we love you anyways. Okay. Okay. Remember what Bruce Lee said? Knowing is not enough. You must apply. So we knew what we had to do. And we applied it. Sometimes we win some, but we always. That's why we don't play rated ones. You go over them and learn, unless you're over the board ones. Make sure that you just practice. Okay, don't do rated ones, because then if you lose rating, you're like, I want to do more. But then you can go back through. It's not a thing against you. You're learning. You got to be willing, and you have to sit down and do it. That's the whole thing. We actually stop ourselves from going to the next plateau of learning. We say, we can't do it, only the grandmasters and supers can. But think about it, they started out where we were, right where we were. So it's nothing. We can do it. It's hard work, I understand, but we can do it. And you know what? Go beyond that. Even go beyond. Use the ability that the Lord has given you to honor and glorify Him, and keep pushing forward. That's the whole thing, guys. It's all about using our minds to get better. And you know what? They try, like in chess, they think younger is better, but there's a lot of players that the problem with older players, bad habits they've brought into chess. That's the only difference. Kids haven't brought in bad habits. So put aside the 5 minute games and the 1 and 3 minute or two or whatever, and start training classical. At least rapid or above. Okay. Because if you want to get better, I know it does instinct. I know you get it, building instinct because of time and stuff. But just remember, play not you can play a couple of those, but don't play a lot. It just teaches you bad habits. And remember what we do? We're like Cole. We sit down. Actually, not. We're like Cole. Cole is something under pressure. It becomes a diamond. Very valuable. Okay. And we also have to do one thing that is the hardest that most chess players won't do. They have to sit, they have to hang up their coat, hang up their hat, sit down and study. And it'll make all the difference. Trust me, guys. Sit down and study. Don't do the 5 or 3 minute game. You can do a couple, okay, but don't get in the bad habit of doing that. Because you're not going to be able to time out your opponents, okay? In a hour and 30 minute game with 15 seconds added on or a delay, trust me, you're not going to be able to time them out. Okay, and I'll leave you guys with that thought. And also keep our Olympiad women players and men players in your thoughts and prayers. Okay. As Wesley So says, serve the Lord Jesus. And as I say, God bless, guys, and I'll see you guys next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, and evening, and keep keep pushing forward, learning. Okay, be like Hannibal Smith. Be the one to push the situation, not to be pushed around. Okay, great job, guys. Hoorah! Good job. Bye bye, Chess Crunching members. Good job, guys. Bye bye. Be blessed. And I'll see you tomorrow.